Hi, and thanks for joining us on another Dolphin Financial Radio Show. My name is Dan Wendell, and today's topic is going to be a retirement reality check. It's going to be looking at a recent survey by Transamerica that is letting people self-assess whether or not they're ready for retirement. And I'm going to bring it back to our last show. Last week, we did a show on the 4 keys to a satisfying retirement. And today's show, we're going to look at a survey that determines whether or not people are actually doing what they say they're going to do. So we're talking about retirement reality. And to help me with that, oh boy, here he is. I'm bringing him in.
Ah,
Yeah, I
I'm
gave you some
here.
time. I saw what you had there. Tony Shore,
Yeah.
thank you. As you can see,
Yeah.
Tony, what do you think of my background this week? Because you had a problem with it last week. To the viewers, to the listeners, they don't know what we're talking about. But this week, what do you think?
Well, you said we're going to talk about the keys to retirement satisfaction, and I thought you'd do another cheesy key image. The
I'll
key
bring it
meme.
back. I'll bring it
Yeah,
back if
don't,
you think.
please don't.
No?
Last week
Well,
you had the cheesy key image. I was worried you'd just keep that one. But today I get on and we're on Family Feud all of a
well,
sudden. I don't,
do I not look like Richard Dawson? No?
not at all, actually.
All right. So today we're going to talk about a survey that was done. So
The
last
survey
week,
says,
right, last week we did a spending and retirement survey by the EBRI, which, we
sure.
fell asleep with that, but it talked about the top 4 drivers of retirement satisfaction.
Sure.
So we talked about those top 4, and I want to bring those back later in the show. But what I'm going to reference today is a different survey. And so the goal of today's show is to kind of see where we are. Like, are people ready for retirement as according to this recent survey? And the survey is, and here's the name of the survey, Living in the COVID-19
Oh,
Pandemic.
wait, you have to say it again. I couldn't
All
hear
right,
you.
here's the name of the survey. Here's the name of the survey.
Was it
We're
late?
not going to have to go live. We can't go live. You're not ready.
We
You're not
can
prime
go
time.
live. We can go live.
Oh my God. Anyway, the health, finances, and retirement prospects of 4 generations, 21st Annual Transamerican Retirement Survey Workers, August 2021. So every year I look at this survey. Sometimes we do shows on it, and this year we're going to. But what I want to focus on this particular one, because this research survey thing from Transamerica is really good. I urge people to take a look at it. It gives nice charts and graphs and so forth. But it asks people questions about a whole sort of things, a whole slew of things. And I'm going to focus on the retirement readiness questions. And then I want to compare it to the satisfaction keys from last show. So I do have the 4 right here on my top survey says. That should have been what I used last time for the keys, 4 keys. That is a little, I'm still hurt. If you can't tell, I'm still hurt by your criticism.
Yeah, the clip art you chose last week for your background.
I'll
This
put
week
the
it
show-
makes sense.
I'm putting the show up here. So if you haven't seen the show or the clip art, click here, and that'll get you to last week's show. Okay, So what I want to do is highlight the findings from this 60 or 70-page document. And I know you didn't read it, but you don't read your email, so that's fine. So
I read everything, Dan.
So I looked at this, and they surveyed lots of people, all sorts of people, and they broke them out by boomers, millennials, Gen Z, and so forth. I'm not going to get too into the weeds on that, but what they did is one of the first questions they asked, before I get into whether or not people are doing the 4 keys,
Sure.
they asked about how things have changed as a result of COVID. Has your retirement confidence changed? And the survey says, no. It's mostly
So
stayed the
retirement confidence hasn't changed?
same. Right. And the older you are, like the boomers in the survey, they had less change. So they are more confident. The younger
Since
you get,
when?
the less
Since
confident.
the last time they did a survey? Has it been years?
They just asked, has it changed as a result of COVID?
Oh, as a result of COVID, has it changed? And people said, no, I'm surprised.
They said it no. And the older you got, the less it changed. So I guess because boomers are already close to retirement, so they're like, if I'm not ready now, I'm never going to be ready. right? That's the way I think they did it.
Sure.
68% feel they're saving enough for retirement.
That's I worry about the other.
Yeah, I think, well, of course we worry about it, but 68% say they're saving enough. But what's enough? What's enough?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, other surveys show that they aren't. Like, or other, the analytics say people aren't like less than like only 30 or 40% are saving enough, but 68% of the people think they're saving enough. I think
Yes,
that's the key, right?
This is the key. This is the key. 73% are concerned about Social Security. So I put that in there. And this is multi-generational here. Everyone's concerned about it. Boomers are concerned because they're on it and they need it. The younger generations don't have much confidence in Social Security. So, but look at that.
That it'll actually be there.
Right. So we're going to do a show in the future on the upcoming cost of living increase that we're expecting, as well as the confidence of Social Security, because that's always a popular topic every year for us. But they're concerned about Social Security. I wanted to put that out there. Many are procrastinating, Tony. Here's the quote. 43% of those asked identified with this and said, quote, I prefer not to think about or concern myself with retirement investing until I get closer to my retirement date. So you ask a 30-year-old how you think about retirement, they're going to be like, I don't want to talk, please. Yeah. I don't even know what I'm doing this weekend.
Right.
You know, one of my brothers called me up and said, hey, next year, do you want to go? I saw you did Yellowstone. We're thinking of doing California. You want to kind of combine trips and maybe meet up? And I said, I don't even know if I got soccer practice this weekend. Like, I can't think of next year. So you got to talk to my wife. She's the one that'll plan it out for next year.
Yep, exactly. That's what I would say. Same answer if you ask me.
So most people
most
people are procrastinating, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about this in the previous show, is that, you know, the employer isn't doing it for you like they did for our parents. They're not creating the pension. So you have to do it yourself. So if you procrastinate, that's when you start to say, well, I'll worry about it. At least in the past, the employer did it for you. Now it's on you. Okay, so they asked people what they need for retirement. How much do you need saved for retirement? Now, we did a show on this. I'll put it up here. That's not the right question. You shouldn't be asking how much you need. You should be asking how much income you need. But again, ask the question.
It's less about the total amount and more about how much income you need each month to live comfortably for the rest of your life.
That's right.
Right.
So who estimated they would need the most out of baby boomers, Generation Z, X, millennials? Who do you think said, I need more than, because this is the median, so the average. So 500,000 is the middle ground. But there was a group that said they need more saved for retirement. Which group do you think that would be?
Boy, I don't know. I'm waving. I can see maybe younger people saying it, but I can also see the boomers saying it. I don't know. I don't know.
Says?
Millennials? I don't know if I have the buzzer.
X. Boomers. The boomers said they need 750,000.
I know it was one or the other.
Millennials said only 300,000.
Oh, jeez.
Now, about 20% said they need 2 million or more. But really,
the smart ones,
the boomers said they need the most, and because they're the ones that are living it, so they know.
Yeah.
So, you know, but here, you know, this is useless. This is quite a useless question. You know, how much do you need? It gets people thinking about retirement, but
which is good.
For the most part, it's just, I'll tell you in a second here. See, I have stat on it. How many guessed? What percentage of those people guessed is the question.
Well,
hold on.
Yeah, 99.9.
I think I have it somewhere. Oh man, it's a good one.
Fahrenheit, 99.9 Fahrenheit degrees. I mean, I bet a big percentage of them did.
43%. Among workers who provided an estimate of their retirement savings need, 43% indicated they guessed.
Well, those are the ones that admitted.
Oh, here it is. I have it right here. I have it on the screen. 43% guessed. So they had no idea. They just, I don't know, half a million, 750,000.
Yeah, I bet more than that even guessed.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But here's another stat. 57% said they plan to work after retirement, whatever
That I
means.
believe. I see that happening. You see that happening with people you work with, right?
Yes, but I also see that people say they're going to do it, but when they go to do it, they don't. Right?
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
The intention is like, oh, I think something like 70% say, oh, I'm going to work part-time, or I'm going to, and then
Sure.
They don't.
Yeah.
They can't find work, or they just like, wait a sec.
Yeah.
Life's too good. Good.
Well, they better be working with a financial services professional like yourself if they end up working after they technically retire, because that can mess up a lot of your retirement income, like Social Security, and you don't want to file for Social Security and then go back to work a year later full time, because you'll be making too much and they'll take your Social Security money away from you.
Yeah, there are a lot of implications about going back to work, and people don't realize that.
Yep.
But for the most part, they say they're going to do it, but they don't.
Yeah.
Although in the survey in the beginning, I don't remember, I think it was 1 in 6. 1 in 6 survey said they're going to live to over 100. So people know they're going to live longer. So they're just planning to work longer. I think they said they're going to work till 65. It used to be 62 was what people said they want to retire. Now it's 65. Yep. So people know they're going to be working longer. So let's shift over now. Okay, so that was just some fun data that I found. I want to focus on the 4 keys again, going back to the previous show. And, insert melodramatic clip art comments here.
Survey says top 4 answers on the board. The top 4 answers are on the board, Dan.
All right. Do you even remember the top answer or one of them? Do you remember one of the keys to a satisfying retirement?
One of the keys to a satisfying retirement?
It was 7 days ago, Tony.
There was pizza. That was
pepperoni.
That
Sicilian,
was one.
Mushrooms and onions.
Pizza was one of them.
You can't even remember one of them.
Healthcare, having a plan.
Having a plan. All right.
Come on. I know these. I know these. I said having a plan.
All right. The first one was having a guaranteed income source.
Right.
Okay. So in the previous show, we talked about how people feel more satisfied when they have some source of guaranteed income. So in this survey from Transamerica, they asked, what are your income sources planned for retirement? And 82% said they're going to self-fund. 66% said Social Security. Now, I don't know why 100% aren't saying Social Security. But I think it is because they just don't think it's going to be around. They're not banking on it.
Or they know it's not going to cover everything they need, so they think. But it is one of the guaranteed income sources they need, but it can't be the income source.
Right. And then the 26% said company pensions. So they must have interviewed
those lucky people, right?
They must have interviewed a bunch of local government workers or federal workers because no one else has the pensions anymore.
Right. Only government.
So the key being having a guaranteed source, self-funding, unless they're creating their own guaranteed self-funded pension of sorts, they're going to be they're not going to be satisfied. They're going to, so the 26% will be satisfied. The 66% that can live off of Social Security, I mean, you can't live off Social. Some people can. Some people can live off of Social Security. I think this is, again, going back to that guaranteed income from last week. People are not satisfied because they just don't have that pension. So I don't see that improving. In fact, I see it getting worse. Because not only do they not have pensions, less and less believe in Social Security. So it's going to be terrible. So anyway, so that was the one key. Another key was debt. Remember, debt was a killer, and the difference between those just barely hanging on and those that are miserable was those hanging on actually own their home and versus rent. So from this recent survey in Transamerica, I looked at one of the quotes here. It said 49% identified with the following statement. Quote, debt is interfering with my ability to save for retirement, end quote.
Like credit card debt that they can't get paid down, the monthly credit card bills, they can't put that money in savings because it's paying down debt. It's paying off their home or loans. Yeah.
Student loans. Student
Yeah.
loans are a biggie here.
Student loans and credit card debt are probably the top two.
Yeah, and there was a good chunk of people said they can't even afford to save. Yet everybody's
Right.
thinking they're going to saving enough. Everyone's going to be happy, right? In the beginning. It's like, yeah, I'm fine. You know, three-quarters of the people, I'm fine. But when you start digging down, half of the people are like, I got debt. It just doesn't work. You know, so
No.
the self-response, you know, is quite interesting. But again, lack of a guaranteed income, debt is a problem, particularly student debt now. So we're not looking good right now, Tony. We're not looking good. Okay, the third one was a spending strategy, like you said. I mean, how are you going to figure out income in retirement? And only
have a plan.
33% said they have a written plan.
Ooh.
Now, should a 25-year-old have a written retirement plan? No. But they should have a plan for getting there and have it, you know, it would be nice to write it down. Most people, that's in their head. I'm just going to use the company match and I'm going to save.
But if they have a full-time job, they need to be starting to save for retirement.
They have to. And if you're not going to have a company pension, it's on you. So you better have a plan. So it makes sense to start planning early, but people just don't do it. They don't do it.
Nope.
A lot of them are hiring a professional or working with somebody, but it's the older group that are. Although I will say one thing that I found interesting, and I want to take a quote here because the next one. Let me get to the next one. This was the fourth key: professional advice. 39% use a professional advisor, yet 65% say they want more retirement advice from employers. We talked about that in the last show. What does your employer give you for retirement advice? The lunchroom breakout session with the, you know.
0.
Go meet with this person. They'll tell you if you should go on target date 2030 or 2040. And that's it. Like, you know, people are craving more advice about debt, about financial planning, about, you know, investments. But only 39% are using an advisor. Now, here's an interesting stat. 39% are using the professional advisor. Which group is using the advisor the most? Which group?
Which age group are using?
Boomers, Generation X, Generation Z, and Millennials. Which
Boomers?
Which one? Millennials.
What?
Millennials.
That doesn't make sense.
They are claiming, this is all self-reported, they are saying they use it more than boomers. It goes millennials, baby boomers, Generation X, and Generation Z.
That's weird because I know a lot of financial advisors and they tell me all their clients are 55 plus or 50 plus.
Well, because you deal with a lot of financial advisors like me that specialize in retirement for people close to retirement. There are a lot of advisors that are focused on growth and they'll
so investment, So millennials like the idea of having a broker, an investment broker. Probably they're talking about just putting money in stocks or trading.
I would say that a lot of them use robo advisors. I do.
Yeah,
I use that for my younger clients. Actually, for all sorts of clients, but for the younger clients, I tend to lean toward the cheaper robo advice for investment management as opposed to the active. So I think the younger crowd, but I was very surprised to see that the younger crowd is more in tune to using outside help from professional.
That does surprise me. I would have thought it would be boomers because they're the ones that are like, oh my gosh, we need help. We're going to retire soon.
I don't know. I think boomers also think they know everything. A lot of them. You know? Right?
That's what I thought about millennials though. But see, I'm in a great spot. I can just sit here and point fingers because I'm Gen X and we're perfect. You know, we've got no issues. So
Gen
Uh,
X,
I
yeah,
I can
Gen
just go,
X.
all those millennials, oh those boomers.
Yeah, I'm in the mix too. I think I'm Gen
Yeah,
X too.
you are.
Uh, so again, the idea that people want more advice,
Hmm.
but they are only because what happens is people don't want to hire a pro necessarily because it's not very easy necessarily, and maybe you just need a little bit of advice. Hey, what do I
Right,
do? Should I take this 401k loan to pay off debt? Like that's a
right,
conversation that you need to have a pro talk to you about, but the employer's not going to step in there and do it.
right.
So it's a tough one. But overall, Tony, to conclude, let's get this. Let me. I put my thought on here. Where is it? Well, I think here we go. Well, this is conclusion from last week was that you can focus on those four, but this time I'm saying that I think, based on the survey results from Transamerica, people are overconfident in their retirement planning capabilities.
Yes.
We did a show maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I'll put it up here about how retirees are overconfident
Mm.
when it comes to investing. I think people in general are overconfident in their retirement planning capabilities. We know what to do. So the last week we talked about these four things, but people just aren't doing it, and they're not doing it because their employers aren't helping. The employers aren't helping enough. And I'm not saying people need hand holding. Hand holding helps. We know that it helps.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Financial hand holding helps, but the employers aren't doing it. And I think if the employers did it, or at least pushed it more, that would go a long way to helping. And
So basically, maybe a solution is for employers to bring in someone like yourself like a biannual basis or regular basis to meet with the employees, and then they can that you do an overall presentation about retirement planning and income planning and investing, and then people who are interested can set up individual meetings with you, and the employee covers a portion of the costs to
yeah,
bring
I
you in.
think that's a great idea. I've done these. I've gone to companies and I've talked to them and said, here and it's been the employer that's asked me to come in and said,
Hmm.
I forget. There was one in St. Pete that I brought in. I went in. It was something terrible. It was like 15% of the people were actually using the 401k match.
Oh, oh,
And I was like, that can't be true. And then I went and they showed me, but the reason being is a lot of the workers were young and transient. It was like
sure,
they were coming and going. So it's like, oh, I'm not going to bother putting the 401k. I don't plan to be here very long. But
sure.
but you make a point is, it's not necessarily that people don't believe in the professional advice. They just don't have easy access to it. So if employers made it easy, added it as a benefit, and I'm not just talking, all right, we're going to have someone in the conference room, go talk to them about your 401k, but take it a next step and say, hey, part of like, how they do wellness with the health insurance. Hey,
Yeah.
if you do this survey or carry this Fitbit around, we'll reduce your premiums. That might be something. Hey, if you go to this financial planning session, we will increase the match.
Ah,
That would
there you
get people
go.
to go.
Yes.
You know, uh,
Yeah.
and there should be
We'll
enough,
match up to 10% if you're getting financial advice. Otherwise, it's the crappy
right?
3 or whatever. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be financial advice for someone selling a product. Hey, I'm not going to go in there. Hey, you have to hire me to manage your portfolio, or you have to buy this product from me, mutual fund, whatever. It should
Hmm.
be just someone like giving advice to say, hey, here's the top 5 things that you need to do.
Yeah.
Look at your, if I'm looking at your benefit plan, here's what I would do as a pro. Now, does anyone have questions? I think that would be useful. So the
Yeah.
conclusion is that this survey is showing from Transamerica that people believe they're doing well for retirement, but the reality is different as we
Mhm.
see. But I
Yeah.
do want to point out the last piece, which is, and they didn't ask this, and they don't, and this is my general observation, is people they sleep in the bed they make. People don't, if you don't save enough, you're not going to, you're going to live within your means. You have no choice when you retire.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to do that, you keep working and you don't retire. So I think
Yeah.
it all works out in the end, but why not improve it by doing a few of these things that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. And who wants to take a pay cut in retirement? I don't.
Right. No.
So,
No.
yeah, I want to be able to live comfortably in retirement.
I want to be able to host a game show and take my shoes off and have people wear my shoes. Right? Isn't that what Richard Dawson used to do? I remember watching
And now
that
it's
as a
Steve,
kid.
what's his name? Who hosts
Steve
it now?
Harvey. That
Steve
guy's
Harvey.
hysterical. Yeah,
you look more like Steve Harvey than you do Richard Dawson.
He's got that big smile, right?
He does. He does. He's awesome.
He does that deadpan stare too.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. When they say something dumb or offensive. I'm
going to start doing that on you. So, all right. Well, Tony, thanks for a good
Great show.
You know, I think what would have been a good way to break the groups down in this is to say the people who have no idea who Richard Dawson is. Those people
the Steve Harvey people
right.
and the Richard
There was a guy
Dawson
in between.
people.
I forget the guy in between, but anyway.
I don't
all right.
remember a guy in between.
There was a couple. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Tony. Thanks for a good show. Thanks for not
Dan.
picking on my clip art this week, and we'll catch up next week.
I like it this week. The top 4 answers on the board. I love that.
All right. I should have done it last week. Anyway.
Survey
Bring in
says.
the kids. See you later.
All matters discussed in today's show are for informational purposes only.
This show is not investment advice.
Dan Riddle nor Dolphin Financial Group are affiliated or endorsed by any government agency.
Investment advisory services are offered through Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Florida.
Insurance products and services are offered through Dolphin Insurance, Inc.
Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc. and Dolphin Insurance, Inc. are affiliated companies doing businesses as Dolphin Financial Group.
You should talk to someone at Dolphin Financial Group before implementing any of these strategies or ideas.